Now, let me introduce you to measure. So measure can be actually calculated in either of those cells right here in our model or in our Power Pivot. So this is one of the laziest way to actually create a measure. So we can create our measure in the Excel worksheet, and I'm going to show you how, but let us actually explore this and see how we can create our measure using this style. So you can place it here, here, here. As soon as you're actually within this environment here, you can actually write your measure. So as soon as you place your cursor right here, you can actually type in your equal to, and what you see is the equal sign to actually appear here. So you can actually use the sum function inside here now. And what do you want to do? You want to know what is the total quantity sold. So when you create this measure, the result will not actually reflect on the column because this is not a calculated column. Instead, it's just a measure, right? So now we want to reference this. And if I go ahead and close this and hit my enter key, it is going to give me the total value of this quantity sold here. Now here we go. So now it just gives me measure 1 because we did not name our measure. So to rename this measure now, we can come here and actually select this area and type in quantity sold. So now we have changed the name of the measure to quantity sold. So we can actually format our measure using the comma separator. And now we take off the extra decimal out of it because we don't want that. So now 13.7 million quantity of our products were sold. So now this is what we have. So if we try to do the same thing we've done right here on the calculated column, look at what we're going to have. So I'm going to come here now with my equal sign using the sum function, and I'm going to still reference the same quantity and go ahead and close it. Hit my enter key. Let's see what we have. So if you look at what we have right now, we have repetitive of this particular grand total here, because this is actually going to go row by row. So it does not really work this way. We cannot use calculated column to create what is actually meant for measure to handle. So do you understand it right now? So now let us see how we can actually get this calculated using the measure, part of it. So we don't want this. We're going to actually have to get it off. Delete from column and click on yes. So now we want to actually calculate the total revenue, but not just like this and show it up in the column area. Instead, what we're going to do is to actually create a measure to do the same thing. So what we're going to do now, we have just selected another cell. Let me select here, for example. So I'm going to come here and type in our revenue. I'm going to name it revenue 2. So, okay, I'm going to open brackets. I'm going to type in measure for we to be sure of which one I'm going to be dragging later. So we do this equals. And now to do this now, we're going to use another function called SUMX. SUMX. So the SUMX is looking for a table to work. So I'm going to just put in my fact table where my quantity is sitting. The first value we want to, use is sitting in the first column. So fact table. So comma is looking for the expression. The expression now is the main column itself. The column is actually price. So the price column here. And I want to multiply this by the mistake, not the price. Instead, I'm going to use the quantity because I don't want to use the price I brought from my product table. I just want to use the one that we have here. If you look at the difference between this one and this one now is that this one, they are all custom, while this one is original. So they have green color. So we're going to use the quantity sold here. So QT, so quantity. So we can now multiply this. So when multiplying this now, we are going to go into another table entirely, which is our product lookup table. So the only way we can travel to our product lookup table right now is to use that function called related, which we used to drag this into this column from that table. So type in related. So it's looking for a column, which means we don't want to pull the whole table from that particular, lookup table. We just need a single table. And if you look at what is going on right here, right now, we have lots of tables right here, lots of tables with their columns. So which means those are the tables that actually has, direct relationship with our fact table. So if you look at it, we do not have return table that we have, which is our, where is it? So product brand lookup is not here. It does not have direct relationship to this table here. So we don't have direct relationship to the product return. So we cannot find it here. So now what do we really want from this very table we are looking to pull price away from? So we just want the price. So make sure you have this place selected for it to type. So price, and when you type in price, you're going to see where it gives you product retail price. So just click on it. So this time around, just let us use this so that we can be sure of where this particular price is coming from. So you can go ahead and close it. So if I just close it now, I've just closed my, product here. So what about the sum X? We have to do one more close. That closes the sum X for us. Nicely done. I'm going to hit my enter key. So it has just gotten it created for us. So for we to see it now, we need to expand this. There we go. I want to just use this English United States. So take off the extra decimal out of it. And now we have 29 million. So if you want to be, if you want to actually see if this is true, what you can do right now is for we to actually, sum this column together, which is this particular column, the first revenue together. And I'm going to hit my enter key. Then I'll do the same thing here. I'll format it and take off the extra decimal to see if this is actually correct. Now it gives me the same value right here, which means I'm going to name this one just don't let us name this one because we're going to get this one off. What we need to use is this very one right here and this one in our Excel worksheet to see if the value it produces is actually true. So the next thing you can do right now, because we have this price here and this quantity sitting here again, you can still create measure without reusing the related table any longer and still get the same value from here. So let's do this. So clicking on this now, I want to type in my equal sign. So using the sum X. So what the sum X does, the sum X can actually, the sum X would help you to multiply two values, two different columns in a single table, while the sum function would only help you to aggregate this one single column. It's just like the sum or the sum in normal Excel function and the sum if and sum ifs that will take multiple criteria. You get that? So now we've just gotten this sum X, tab to open the bracket, and now it's looking for table. We're going to give it the fact table, which means we are going to do everything here in this particular fact table, as you can see it right here. So after this right now, we want the expression. So the expression now is going to be, sorry, I mistakenly clicked on this. So that is gone. So the expression right now is going to be quantity multiplied by price, which we brought from our product table, but we are not going to use related table because already we have it right here. So I'm going to say quantity. So here's my quantity. So straight up, I'm going to multiply it by what? By price. So we have the price here. We don't need to use related table, wherever it is. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my enter. So let's see what we have when we format this. So take off the extra decimal. So now, as you can see, we have the same value, 29.3 6 twice 29 million, 29 million, 29 million plus. So can you see what it is right now? So what we are really interested in is this particular one here and this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. I don't need it. So it's just for me to illustrate to you that this is what is going on if you want to do this. Okay. And I'm going to get this one away. So we are left with two. We're left with a measure and we are left with calculated column. In normal Power BI, if we do this, we create a calculated column and we create measure. This measure can be reused multiple times. It can be reused over and over again until you don't want to use your dashboard or your report again. But this particular calculated column, even though if it is correct, it does not actually give you more, advantage to use it in any other, measure. This one can be used over and over again. That is why we always love to use measure while we do, some calculation in either Power Pivot or in Power BI. And another thing again before we go is that this one adds to this file size, while this one does not add to the file size. You get it? So this calculates on the fly every single time you drop it, and it's going to create a filter context for you. So this one automatically, when you do this, it adds up to the memory as into the size, because it's actually on your table. It's something physical. So this is what you just see right here. So let us go ahead and see what the difference is. So I'm going to click right on this to switch back here. So now I click on this one here. So I want to go to my fact table this time around. If I go to my fact table, I have two measures here. So the first measure is number one, revenue. I drag it here. So that will definitely give us the revenue we actually, made on every age group. So I'm going to drop my second revenue here. So you can see the second revenue was formatted. This one wasn't formatted. You can see what we have right here. So it's not a big deal. We can always copy using this particular format painter here. So that is better. So if you look at it right now, there is no difference between this one and this one. This is the first revenue we calculated. This is the second revenue we calculated. This one has to do with calculated column, while this one is actually the measure we created. So now this one can be seen on our table. If we go back down right here and actually bring this up, so we can set this one physically, row by row. So which gives us row context. So this one can only be seen right here. And inside Power BI, you don't even see the final result like what we are seeing now on our Power Pivot. You don't see the grand total. Right here, we're seeing the grand total. And before this grand total can actually further give us more information about our business, we must have dragged it into a visual, just like this. In a pivot table, we are trying to see how much revenue have we made from people with the age from 0 to 30, 31 to 50, and 50 plus. So this is what it is. We call it a filter context right here, filter context. So I believe you must have understood what I'm trying to do right here. So this one is the one that added up to our file size. So we don't have to do this. So we have to go all the way back here now, because I said it's not fully healthy at all. So we have to remove it. And if I just decide to remove this for the first time, I'm going to click on delete. Yes. So what happens to this? We have error because this one feeds from the column we've just deleted. So we have to remove it as well. We don't need it. So we click on delete column. We click on yes. And this one remains. This one remains. So let's go ahead and just expand this. So this revenue measure here remains. We have it right here. So it does not go anywhere because it's not feeding from the price we pulled into this particular column. So it's feeding from this particular related table here. Sorry, related here, not related table. Related here that pull in a column from another table for us. So this is one way to do this. And I call it some kind of efficient way, easy way to do this. So we're going to look at how to actually still calculate this measure in another form and still give us the same thing in this particular worksheet.